After making my recent video, which if you haven't watched it yet, I would highly recommend you do so, it's made clear to me that many people think that Minecraft are purposely making the game easier. For example, I had a comment that says, I kinda wanted that for a while, but now I think they should have kept it only as loot. It's going to be way more common and it kills another point of exploring. So if you don't know what this is referring to, it's basically referring to the brand new crafting recipe of the saddle. A lot of people are happy about it, but at the same time, it's causing a lot of confusion. My response to that comment was that's a very valid point. I actually never thought about this side of it. I think a lot of people will definitely appreciate the easy side of it, but for those who like to do lots of exploring, I can see why there's some friction regarding their decision. Then my viewer responds by saying they're just making things more easy, which is killing the core purpose of the game. When the Happy Ghast came out, I wish that the harness would be harder to craft, but then they just made the dried gas craftable. So yeah, what do you guys think? Are Minecraft making it easier on purpose? I definitely think this is possible, and I want to talk more about why I think that in this video. There was also another comment on this video from a loyal viewer of mine. Personally, I liked it better when it could just be found. I hope they don't make a crafting recipe for items like the name tag or horse armor. So at the same time, if I think about them making, crafting recipes for a name tag or horse armor, I'm not entirely sure if they would for a name tag, but it does make sense that they might potentially make one for horse armor in the future. That is just my general prediction. That is not any confirmation whatsoever. Just like I mentioned in response to that comment, I doubt they will add recipes for those, but at the same time, if they are intentionally trying to make things easier, I guess we'll never know for certain until they announce it. So it kind of begs the question at this point, if Minecraft are intentionally making things easier, for the sole purpose of bringing new players in, then why wouldn't they add, crafting recipes for things such as the name tag or horse armor? It would make sense for them to do so if they are, trying to make things easier on purpose, but at the same time, it's trying to figure out if that's actually the case. Back in the day, for example, saddles were only found in places such as like dungeons, temples, bastions, and other loot chests, for example, which gave exploration a real value in the game, and people really enjoyed that side of it. It's also why a lot of people are very confused and annoyed that Minecraft actually added a crafting recipe for the saddle. For example, it kind of removes the sense of achievement. Back in the day, finding a saddle felt like a reward, purely because it was so difficult to find, especially in the early game, and if you're a survival player, you will understand how difficult it truly was. The sole purpose of Minecraft Survival was all about taking risks, right? And exploring that world to, come up to situations you never thought you would expect, whereas crafting something makes survival less about taking risks and more about grinding for materials, which is not what a lot of people want to play the game for. So although they're trying to make the game purposely easier for all of the new players, which totally makes sense by the way, it's also making them lose a lot of players because, unfortunately, they're losing that kind of reward aspect of the game. Now that we have the ability to easily craft saddles, it's no longer considered exclusive loot, which at the same time, it begs the question, why explore dungeons or bastions if the exclusive loot becomes craftable? It kind of defeats the object of, exploring dungeons or bastions, and that's what a lot of people have concerns about. Just like I mentioned in my last video, this one small change has made such a big impact and people genuinely don't know how to react. For example, let's think about other rare items, because this one change definitely sets a precedent for other rare items. Let's think about the Elytra or, the enchanted apples or even music discs. What if they potentially become craftable in the future? It would kind of defeat the object of everything. And I can definitely say if Minecraft were to make that choice in the future, a lot of people will be extremely angry, and therefore, unfortunately, they will lose a lot more players. So if that was to actually be the situation in the future, the next argument will be whether Minecraft are actually prioritizing new players over the players that have actually played, since the game first came out. It kind of, leaves a sour taste in the players' mouths, but at the same time, it kind of makes sense why they're making the game easier. So they've kind of got to have that balance there, but whether they actually find that balance is a different question and a different conversation in itself. I'm not going to lie, I was actually quite excited about the crafting recipe of the saddles. I thought it was quite a good idea, but after thinking about it a little more, I do definitely understand where people are coming from, because it definitely breaks progression balance. For example, saddles were actually a mid-game item. You had to earn the right to ride a horse or a strider by actually progressing and finding one yourself. but now players can potentially skip that huge part of the early mid game, and yeah, it just leaves out a major part of players' experiences, and I think that's what people aren't liking about it. By the way, people have every right to feel this way. There is no right or wrong in this situation. It's all based down to opinions. So let me know what you think down below in the comments, whether or not you think this is actually a good change or a bad change. And I'm curious to see whether or not they do make things more easier in the future. For example, if they do add crafting recipes for name tags, hopefully not. But yeah, it kind of does beg the question of what their intentions truly are and whether or not, they have their priorities in the right place. I'm not saying regardless of what they prioritize, whether it's new players or old players, I'm not saying any of that is right or wrong, but at the same time, yeah, it kind of leaves a sour taste in players' mouth, like I said, and I can totally understand where everyone's coming from. You and I both know that the 2-week Minecraft phase is actually a very real thing, but a change like this potentially lowers the replay value of the game, which could potentially damage the game in the future. Now, whether or not it harms the game that much they're actually bothered or not, that's a different conversation in itself. But when rare loot such as the saddle becomes common through crafting, each new survival world feels less fresh and less predictable. Players might actually get bored faster because there's less of a sense of discovery or uniqueness between playthroughs, and unfortunately, yeah, they're going to lose a lot more players by taking that approach. But again, whether or not they're bothered about that, it's a different conversation. At the same time though, I still love Minecraft the same way I always have. So yeah, I don't think that will change anytime soon, but I'm definitely watching this closely, and anytime a new change comes out, I'll be sure to keep you guys updated. Thank you for watching the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you give it a like, click subscribe, and also share it with your friends. I apologize for talking quite quietly in this video. I'm recording this very late at night and there are people sleeping, so I'm trying to be as respectful as possible. If you would like to watch some more videos from me, you can watch this one on the left side of the screen, or you can watch my entire playlist to the right of the screen, and I'll see you over there.